I've been coaching homeschool parents for 6 years now, and I have found that most parents, when they find themselves struggling, start to focus on the external factors of their homeschooling. They get convinced that the reason things aren't working are because they haven't found the right curriculum, or because they haven't found the right approach, or because they haven't found the right routine. And so they start posting in groups on Facebook. They come to me and they ask, and they keep asking, what is the best? What is the best curriculum? What is the best approach? What is the best program? What is the best routine? And I have come to realize that parents think these external factors are the things that are going to affect their homeschool the most, when in reality, these are homeschooling unicorns. These things do not exist. Ladies and gentlemen, you are never going to find the perfect, the best, the right curriculum. You are never going to find the right approach. You are never going to find the right routine, because those things don't exist. All the curriculum that's out there, it's pretty decent. It's all pretty good, right? There are lots of approaches. And while I wouldn't say they're all equal, I would say that they're all viable. And there are a million different approaches to how your routine is set up, how your day is set up, how your year is set up, how you structure your time. Okay. Those external factors have very little effect on your homeschool. It is the internal factors that are so much more important. And I think the reason that parents focus on these unicorns is because they are things that they can research and they can talk about and they can ask about and they can look at, right? They can look at the curriculum. They can look at a schedule and they can play around with the times, right? They can look at all of the philosophies and all of the priorities and values that go with those philosophies and those approaches. And they can kind of analyze them and try to figure out, okay, which one is going to be the right one for us? But it is the internal factors that are so much more important. And I think parents avoid those because they're a little less concrete. They're a little more difficult to kind of wrap your head around. But those internal factors are the ones that are actually affecting your homeschool so much, and typically are the ones that are causing all of the issues that are forcing you to start looking at all these factors in the first place. There are 3 internal factors that are significantly more important than these homeschooling unicorns. The first is your ability to tailor the materials that you use with your kids. You can get any curriculum, all right? The cheapest thing that you can find if you're really broke and you're wanting to homeschool and you're worried that you're not going to be able to because you got to spend a bunch of money. No, grab the free stuff. It is how you implement the free stuff that is going to be important. It is how you tailor it to your child. It is how you find the confidence to realize that curriculum is just a tool. It is just a tool in a very large arsenal that's filled with lots of other tools. It is not the end all be all of your homeschool. If you can master your ability to tailor your curriculum to your child and tailor your child's education to them, then the curriculum that you use is not that important. The approach that you take is not that important. The routine that you set up is not that important. The second internal factor is understanding what is developmentally appropriate. Man alive, the more time I spend on this planet, the more I realize that public education, particularly in the elementary years, is completely inappropriate to the development of children's learning and their brains and their abilities. Kindergarten nowadays is what first grade and in some points even second grade used to be. Okay. Children's development has not changed. Why are we suddenly expecting them to be able to do work that we didn't expect kids to do until they were 7 or 8 years old, 30, 40, 50 years ago? The work that children are being expected to do in public school and that parents then tend to use as their guide when they start homeschooling. Well, gosh, if my child were in public school, they'd be doing this in kindergarten and this and this and this. So I better do those things as well. No, you need to understand how children are wired to learn and how they are able to interact with information at different stages of their lives. If you do not know what is developmentally appropriate, then you are going to be asking your child to do all sorts of things that they literally cannot do. And then they're going to be frustrated, and then you're going to be frustrated, and there's going to be lots of this. And then you're going to start feeling like, oh, I'm not cut out for this. I can't homeschool. Not at all true. You can. It's just that you don't know what your child is actually able to do yet, and you're asking them to do stuff that they can't. The third internal factor that is far more important than things like curriculum or approach or routine is having a grasp on how learning actually happens. Learning is not the same as curriculum, right? Learning is not the same as approach. Learning is not the same as routine. Learning is what's going on inside your child's brain. And if you understand how human beings are wired to learn, then you can better tailor that education, right? You can better manipulate the curriculum that you find, and you can better understand what your child is able to do and what you should be reasonably expecting them to handle at whatever stage they currently are in, right? These internal factors are the factors that are going to really affect how your homeschool functions, how long you are able to homeschool, whether you get burned out, or, whether you have long-term success, whether you are able to continue doing this year after year after year. But they are the factors that can be a little more difficult to figure out how to form. How do we learn this stuff? How do we figure this stuff out? It's one of the reasons why I created the Confident Homeschooling Solution, to teach parents this stuff, to help parents understand what is learning and how is that different from conventional education. How do I tailor curriculum? What do kids actually need? They are taught so much in public school just to fill time, not because children need to know this stuff, not because they even expect kids to remember it in 10 years. Do children really need to know? Does every child in this country need to know the different kinds of nests that birds build? Like, honestly, this is stuff that children are taught as if this is important for everyday life. For some kids, yes, absolutely. For every child, no. They're just filling time. They're putting as much stuff into the day as they can to justify keeping your child at school for 7 hours a day, 180 days or more a year. Okay. Understanding what learning is, what children actually need, and how to how to give them that information in a developmentally appropriate way. That is what you need to know as a parent. And that's what the Confident Homeschooling Solution is going to teach you. So as you are preparing, or maybe not even preparing for your first year, maybe you are trying to recover from your first year and you're trying to figure out, what do I need to change? What went wrong? What was not working? I would encourage you to look at these internal factors instead and start figuring out, how can I best use this curriculum, this tool that I purchased? Maybe it's not about buying a different curriculum. Maybe it's about learning how to use the curriculum you have in a different way. And how can I better understand the way that my child is wired? And how can I better understand how learning happens, so that I'm asking my kids to do things that they actually can do, so that the activities we are engaged in are actually meaningful educational activities and not just filler, not just busy work, but is actually meaningful work. And so that I can tailor my child's education to them. If you need help with that, the Confident Homeschooling Solution is what you're looking for.